Welcome. Welcome to Intertek's Natural Disasters Hurricane Series. I'm Shawn Donovan, and I'm excited to bring you a new series of discussions on natural disasters related to testing, certifications, codes, and much more. All of our discussions are intended to be around 15 minutes, asking the most relevant questions for building product manufacturers and other industry professionals. Today, I'm excited to be talking with Tanya Dolby. She's manager of the Engineering Services Group for the Building and Products Division of Intertek. Tanya, thanks so much for your time today. For those out here who don't know who you are, perhaps don't know anything about Intertek, can you share with everyone your background and a little bit about the company?
Yes, thank you. I'm Tanya Dolby. I've been in the building and construction industry for 33 years. I have my professional engineer license in several states. Before coming to Intertek, I worked for a fenestration manufacturer where my experience and background is primarily in engineering, testing, and certification of building products. Most of those were geared toward hurricane, blast, or tornado. My current role at Intertek is as the engineering services manager. We support clients in several capacities. A couple of the primary capacities are we develop project-specific calculations to support installations onto buildings. And we also develop test plans for clients that want to test and qualify their products to meet a variety of standards. Those could be hurricane, they could be blast or tornado, like I mentioned earlier, or it could just be testing and certifying their products to the latest NAF standard, which is non-hurricane impact related.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, you certainly have the background for our discussion today. So this will be great. So let's start off, if you will, for like a Reader's Digest version of the current building codes and standards related to glass and glazing in the hurricane market. And I know this is kind of like constantly moving and changing, but for the most part, can you just give our audience kind of a high-level overview of some of the critical codes and standards that are out there that they should know about?
Certainly. Well, the most relevant building code is the Florida Building Code. It's currently the 2020 Florida Building Code, but they are in the late stages of adopting the 2023 Florida Building Code. That is going to go into effect at the very end of this year. So right now, Florida is accepting product approval applications for both 2023 and 2020 Florida building codes. So anyone who is interested in testing and certifying their products for a hurricane impact market, now is a very good time to get that in, get the testing done, and get into the 2023, the upcoming Florida Building Code adoption.
So will that work? I'm assuming there's a cycle. So once you get your product approved, is it still a 3-year cycle now? Or is it, I know for NOAs, it used to be 3. Is it still 3 for?
It is. For Florida product approvals, it's a 3-year cycle, and it follows along with the Florida Building Code. So each time that a new code is adopted, existing Florida product approvals are updated. They need to be updated to the upcoming code that is being adopted. For NOAs, they still have a 5-year expiration date. So it may not necessarily align exactly with the new code adoption.
So we talked about this Florida product approvals, and you got NOA, which is Miami-Dade, correct?
Yes.
And then there's also TDI. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that kind of part of the mix if people are determining which ones they need to get approvals for?
Well, TDI is in Texas.
Right.
That's the Texas Department of Insurance. It is another voluntary, in this case, it's a voluntary product approval platform related to Texas. One of the things that they have put into place very recently is they have adopted a method where you can directly apply for a TDI using an existing Florida product approval or Miami-Dade NOA, and they will accept that. So it is a much faster, smoother process that they have in place right now.
Well, that's kind of a big deal, it sounds like, with them adopting that. And yeah, that's great.
It is.
So if we go back to product approvals or NOAs, what is the typical timeline? Just to give people kind of a sense who've never gone through the process, what would be a typical timeline to get a product approval or NOA?
Oh boy, a typical timeline. I don't know if there is such a thing, but I will say, in general, depending on the requirements, it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Where 6 would be a very simple product that the testing is very clear, straightforward. You know exactly what you want to test, and to go through the whole process, 6 months. But for more complex products, like a curtain wall system, for example, you may want to test several elevations, several test units. If there were perhaps any issues along the way, you may have to do some rework and retesting. So that would be more, I would say, pushing toward the 12-month turnaround time.
And does your team, when companies come to you guys, are you kind of helping them understand what the complexity or what the timeline might be for something like that? Is that part of what you do, or is it just a complete unknown?
We try to help develop a better understanding of what it's going to take for them to get their product tested and approved and in the Florida product approval system. So I can definitely provide some guidance, and a lot of that is based on history and knowledge of products, maybe similar products that I've seen tested, and how long that took to go through the whole process, as well as just educating clients on the requirements in general. If they come to me and they don't have a good understanding, then I take the time, go through all of the requirements, try to give them a very good understanding of what the code, the Florida Building Code requirements are for their type of product, and just really help them hone in on exactly what they want to test, what the important parts are, and help them develop a timeline.
So let's dive into the consulting part, and the research and development and engineering. I know this is a big part of what you do. So the idea of hiring a consultant to help a company kind of guide through the process, kind of like what we're talking about for product approvals, what's involved on the consultation side of things? What would be like a normal consultation for a company that comes to Intertek and sets up a meeting with you, and you're kind of starting this process?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'll say high level, I bring all the pieces together for our clients. So I will be very general, that a lot of times I like to get on a Teams call or a video call with our clients to develop a good understanding of what their product is, what their goals are, first of all. And I like to look at any documentation that they have, any design drawings, any prior testing, anything like that that they can bring to me to review. Then I can take that and help develop a plan. So that's the very beginning of the whole process, is me developing a good understanding of their product and what their goals are. And then we will put together a test plan for them to achieve those goals.
So let's talk a little bit about R&D, because I'm assuming, although R&D is not mandatory, in many cases, I'm guessing it's pretty important for part of the process. Can you talk a little bit about the R&D side of things and when somebody should or shouldn't do R&D on a product?
Yes, absolutely. So R&D is a very good tool to help clients if they don't understand what their product can achieve, what the performance level is. If they've never tested their product for a structural test, just for an example, then I highly recommend doing an R&D test first, so they understand before going into the full range of testing, certification testing. They develop a good understanding of what their product can achieve. So that will help them later. They can go into the certification testing with a high level of confidence that it's going to perform and pass all testing.
Yeah, I could see that being a critical part of the whole process. So we talked about consultation, we talked a little bit about R&D, and then kind of the engineering side of things, you know. So where does engineering come into play? I know that's a big part of what you do. And what type of engineering services do you guys typically offer companies?
We offer a wide range of services for clients. We can do, I mentioned a little bit earlier, project-specific engineering calculation packages for clients that they just want a set of calculations to support the installation on a building. So we can provide that. We have several. I'm a PE, a professional engineer, and we also have access to other internal professional engineers throughout Intertek who can review and provide the PE sign and seal documents for those. We develop the test plans for clients. We can also work with clients to do design. If they are unsure about a component on a product, we can help analyze that component to give them a good idea of how it's going to perform, what it's going to achieve in the final product platform. There are other things, but those are kind of the three primary services that we can provide clients.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of talked about this whole process that a company goes through. They finally get their product approval. So now they're ready to go in Florida, but let's say they have markets outside of Florida, some other coastal regions that may have impact requirements. Are there approvals that they receive for Florida? Can those be accepted in other areas in the U.S.?
Yes, absolutely. They're often accepted in states with coastal areas that have some type of hurricane impact requirements.
Okay, great.
And
so it really makes a good investment then, right? Because it's beyond just Florida many times if it's a coastal region application.
Yes, absolutely. And even if for that project, they don't specifically request a Florida product approval or a Miami-Dade NOA, they will accept the test reports as proof of performance for those products.
So you don't necessarily have to go down to Florida to test your products. You could be in Pennsylvania or, you know, another part of the region in the US or North America, or sounds like anywhere throughout the world, that you can go and get tested for the Florida product approval or NOAs?
Yes, that's correct. So each laboratory location has a list of test standards that they are accredited to perform. So depending on what it is, you may have your product tested at two different laboratories. Perhaps one laboratory can conduct one or two of the tests, and the other portion of the test may be required to go to one of the other laboratories at Intertek. But as a whole, Intertek can conduct the vast majority of hurricane impact testing.
Okay, great. So let's jump from testing to products in the marketplace, and I'm sure you see your share of products that are being tested and are approved and in the marketplace. So what type of new products that you've seen recently, and what type of new products do you expect to see just based on kind of some of the market trends and things that are going on today?
Some of the trends that I am seeing and continue to see develop are products that have very large glass lights. That's primary. It seems like more and more designers, architects are trying to push the boundaries of daylighting, the size of the glass. They want to reduce the frames that are holding glass in. So large glass lights. I'm also seeing higher thermal performance requirements. The third trend that I'm seeing are unitized products, and more unitized products are being developed, and those are to help reduce the time on a job site for the installation.
And I would assume, I mean, sustainability is always a big word today, and a big part of design. I'm assuming that those trends seem to kind of tie into the sustainability movement in many ways.
I would say so, especially for thermal performance. That is a big one where more suppliers, more projects are adopting, or more areas are adopting codes with higher thermal performance requirements. So suppliers, manufacturers are having to meet those thermal performance requirements.
Great. Well, this has been great. Again, our intent was to kind of hit on some of the things that we think are top of mind for many of the building product manufacturers, people that you work in day in, day out. And Tanya, really appreciate your time. But before we go, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think might be valuable to our audience that are listening to this?
The one thing I would like to touch on is the fact that Intertek provides a full service package for clients. From what I have talked about, developing test plans and getting their products tested. So all of the engineering, testing, doing the certification. We work with clients to develop the actual submittal packages. But in addition to that, we provide validation services for those product approval submissions and the quality assurance. And so it's really the full service package that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, and the beauty of that, it almost becomes kind of a one-stop shop, right? Where you don't have to bring in multiple companies or services or consultants. So that's great. Well, Tanya, thanks again. We're really happy to spend this time with you and to share all your vast knowledge in this space. And we're going to put on the screen where folks can go to get more information on any of these services, and if they need to contact your team. And with that, we'll conclude this. And thanks again.
Thank you very much. Nice speaking with you.
Okay.